Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cross Commission Podcast. My name is Jake Nazar. I'm joined with my good friend Saif Fakadu. Saif, how you doing this evening?
Jake, oh, lovely. 80 degrees today.
Yeah,
I know it's fall spring or, whatever. I don't want to get to my hopes, but even us on Saturday, I'll take that over, 16 degrees for like 2 weeks. So, yeah, doing well up here in Jersey. So, yourself, all good?
yeah, absolutely. Weather's been lovely. I think it's about to rain though. I just heard thunder uh, in the background. Maybe they'll keep it warmed up. Uh, but yeah, some great weather. Uh, Fun time at Homewood on Saturday. Um, Safe's been around the cross world in what 10 days.
Yeah,
Some fun.
the lacrosse corridor. Oh my God, yeah, I definitely traversed it. Yeah, 4 games, yeah, 2 weeks, yeah, it's pretty much.
Really? So in the Prince the did you do Princeton Penn State? That's five.
Oh, yeah, at the beginning of the season, yeah, but yeah, the immediate like couple weekends was kind of packed. I was actually looking at that Harvard Penn game. I was like, maybe sneak down to Philly real quick again. But it has been great. Crowds have been wonderful. Like I just said, when we, shout out to Terry, we saw him at Homewood, and
Yeah,
we were kind of speaking out about the game, and I was joking. I was like, the atmosphere was great. I was like, the sloppy play at the beginning, it is what it is. But the crowd at Homewood was, well over 4,000. Big lacrosse is that kind of lovingly joke about being at home with the cross scene and everything. It was definitely an effect. It wasn't like the Maryland games. That's a whole other animal. But
yeah.
no. So you saw President Daniels. I joked around. I was like, that's my my super secret superpower. It's like I can spot celebrities like in the crowd when they're passing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
who was
it
it?
was great.
Dwan, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was
Dwan,
great.
that's Dwan. And then me and Safe we like three different people. We tried like three, and Safe's like, that's
I'm pretty sure we saw Neil Gower. I'm pretty sure he was with Terry, the artist of the J that I bought.
I
The
didn't.
T-shirt.
Yeah, the Terry was funny because I just hear you talking. I'm like, who's he talking to?
Yeah, we were taking a picture. I saw Gower. He looked at the shirt. And he gave me a thumbs up. That's why I was like, it was definitely him. And then Terry's like right next to him. I was like, oh, and then you're like kind of guys still looking and taking pictures. So it was great. Yeah.
But yeah, you see Dwan walk by, and you're like, I'm like, I don't know, dude.
Like,
and then like,
yeah.
and then like 3 minutes, and then like 3 minutes later, we walked by him and his son.
Yeah, he passed us. Yeah, it was good right by Cordish.
If you've never been to Homewood, Safe's on the money. The big lacrosse thing. It is like the ultimate fishbowl. You'll walk by anyone. You could see anyone just walking by at any time, and that's just how it is. It's not a big deal or anything. It's the nature, obviously, of the history of Hopkins and then who they play with Cuse and Maryland and Virginia and so many other teams, and the confined space. It's both small, but still seats small and big at the same time. They can fit 10,000 people in there for big games like the Maryland game and women's Final Fours and all that. And then also, again, you can walk by and see literally anybody when you're there. So it's always a very good time. I'll be there for the Maryland game, or at least I plan to be. We'll see. Happens, which is what, April 18th, I think this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, they moved it up. It always used to be my birthday.
Yeah, that's fun. 2022.
And then with the Big Ten doing the quarterfinal weekend now. There's that buffer.
Also, like all the little, like not secret, but like little things like you can find, the crab right by with the entrance for the players. Like we always talk about this, the proximity to the field really gives you an appreciation of how physical and fast. You see it on TV, but like a couple of those games, I remember we were on the away side stands, and just the battles, in that 25 to midfield to 75% of the field, just always speed of the players is just always really impressed about how physical they are. But the Bobby Scott statue, the the whole like end zone area where they have like a more of like a festival, like food atmosphere and drinks and stuff. Like it's like a scene. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna like.
And I think it's a credit that I think this is an interesting this is an off-season conversation to be had, but I think Hopkins is. I'll never say moving to the Big Ten was bad for Hopkins. It wasn't. There were a lot of good things that came with it. Look, at the end of the day, it was like an inevitability. Like this is the Crosse in 2026. You can't really. They might be the only team who could put together a schedule as an independent today. Q's probably could too. But you still, there's not a world without being in a conference. So it was never a thing that had to happen. But I think in some ways this goes for Hopkins. I think Ryan would attest to this kind of Cuse as well. There's some other teams. I think Navy's one. Certain programs who at least like their schedule and the way it kind of laid out got most hindered by the realignment in the conference and everything like that. Like Hopkins' big games all used to be in mid-April and like early to mid. I guess the Cuse game was always right here or the week later.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day weekend.
Yeah. But the Navy game would be in mid to late April. The Maryland game would be in kind of early April. The Towson game was in late April. The Loyola game was the last weekend of April. That's kind of where Homewood sort of made it same. And Navy is a team on that kind of as well. Navy used to host Maryland or Hopkins in April, like one of them pretty much every year. And you can put Cuse in this as well with kind of how they've had to balance scheduling Princeton. I know me and Ryan talked about how they had to balance scheduling Princeton or Cornell. Like they've added Princeton the last couple of years, but when they've added Princeton, Cornell's had to go. The Cornell games kind of bounced around the schedule a little bit. The pushing the season, forward has, in some ways, I think, hurt those programs, specifically with kind of when they play these games and the weather and all these sorts of things. But with that being said, we still got a great atmosphere on Saturday. It's not as I think it's important to kind of note these things because we do a lot of discussion about moving the season calendar and all that. And it's like we still get a lot of great games and we still get good crowds. It's like the lacrosse fervor is still there at these programs. The connection that I was impressed really by the students that turned out because we were kind of towards the student section. It was a real strong student turnout for Hopkins, and they stayed for most of the game too. Even in a game that they were kind of trailing by a couple of goals for most of it. So at these kind of programs, that connection between the students and the team and the alums is still really strong. And I think we're seeing that in more programs now. You look at Harvard. I mean, the Harvard game against Cuse a couple weekends ago, they had people standing up on the snowbanks in mid-February. And Princeton, we've seen it with Princeton the past couple years as that program's kind of been restored to its past successes. And what Tigers got, I know they got my number one vote this past weekend. I think they got a couple in the media poll. But yeah, I think it's as you said, it's good crowds, and hopefully it'll continue as the weather warms up and we get into conference play and get some more rivalry games, things like that. We'll see Penn State UNC this weekend in Charlotte. That could potentially be a good turnout. Denver, Ohio State tomorrow. It's a Thursday night, but Ohio State usually packs that thing in. Cuse Denver on a Monday, so it's interesting. It's a slate this week that I guess you would say if you're one of the people who is always kind of clamoring for and I mean we've done this as well, clamoring for the space to schedule out and get games at different times and kind of figure out more single game windows. You kind of have that this week. It's not as stacked a slate as we've had the last 2 weekends. It's a bit more low key, but you've still got you got Denver, Ohio State tomorrow in what is functionally a standalone game window. at 7 p.m. Yeah, because Q's Air Force tomorrow's at 5, so it's a standalone for that one. You have Maryland, Virginia's at 1, which isn't standalone because Navy Hopkins there as well. But you have Carolina, Penn State at 6:30 as a standalone game. And then Monday you have Q's Denver as a standalone game as well at 8 p.m. So you've kind of got again, it's a more low key kind of slate, especially compared with the frenzy of the past couple weekends. But you've got some games where you can just kind of fix your focus on just that game over the next couple days.
I totally forgot. North Carolina, Penn State at 6:30 in Charlotte. No link on IL. I gotta see what.
It's a Corrigan.
Oregon. Oh,
yeah.
Let's go. Let's see the stream.
Yeah, let me.
Corrigan Network. Yeah, watch it. Not on IL, but it's on Penn State's schedule page.
Let me just keep my lips sealed.
You got to sign in. I guess I can make an account. We'll do some research.
Oh, jeez. Oh man, I don't know.
Good for them. They got the contract. You know me, Jake. I respect hustlers.
That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, so if you want to do anything on the poll before we.
I was funny when you were talking about Princeton. You made him number one. I was running on Sunday, and that song I keep putting in the DMs, that ecstasy song by Suicidal Idol, where it's like, "You're so perfect." That song I don't want to sing. I was knowing it is, but I was feeling that while I was running around. It's just like Princeton's just like seducing me, like, "Why don't you make us number one?" But I, as you know, Jake, I'm an ethical voter, so I was just like, I can't. I know they're behind in the RPI. Shout out to the Crosse reference with that always great up to date RPI page. But
Safe. This is a great. I'm glad you mentioned.
I just can't abandon the Irish. It's just like I'm there to say Paddy's Day and everything. Like, yeah, it's in my affinity for the Irish people. Like, I was like, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, the schedule merits it. Georgetown, Maryland, Ohio State. Maryland's maybe not in Maryland, but
that's the crazy thing about this. We'll get into the point I was going to make with the RPI. Notre Dame. 2 of Notre Dame's best wins are against non-500 teams. Maryland and Georgetown. Now listen, I think those are both good wins. I think Maryland is safe to say Maryland's the best 2-3 team of all time.
It's a hard 2-3, Jake.
Hard 2-3. I think Georgetown's 2-2 now. I want to say, or 2-3. They lost to Richmond, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. They beat Penn and they beat Albany last night, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of the over 2-3 teams. Safe right now. Can you tell me the 4 teams without looking at the RPI?
Okay.
Just without looking at the RPI. Can you tell me the 4 teams who have top 5 RPI wins? There are 4 who currently have a top 5 RPI win.
Okay. Princeton.
Yes.
Notre Dame?
No.
Okay.
Notre Dame's best win by RPI is over
Maryland?
Georgetown, who's ranked 16th.
Oh, I forgot that. That's all right. Harvard?
Yes.
I guess Syracuse is the one. Okay, so who'd be Syracuse? Princeton. Penn State.
There you go. You got 3. You need the last one.
Oh man. Can't think of the best one. Yeah, I'm blanking.
The Lafayette Leopards.
Oh my God. Lafayette. Oh yeah. I was like,
The
all right. I was like,
Lafayette Leopards, because right now the top 5 in RPI is not Penn State, Princeton, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Army, and Richmond.
oh my God. Shout out to Leopards.
The Lafayette Leopards have a top 5 RPI win as of this present moment in time. That's I get the RPI is, as we kind of like to say on here, it's still in its maturation phase. It's it needs time to kind of marinate and mature. I think it's fascinating. You look at the poll, and the poll does kind of line up, I would say, with what like the RPI reflects right now. But I think that the numbers kind of suggest, like the ACC has had a tremendous start to the year, and they've kind of separated themselves a bit by the numbers in comparison with the rest of the other leagues. I think the ACC, I think like 80%. But then you look at the rankings, and you've got 2 Ivy League teams in the top 5, in Princeton and Harvard, and you have an undefeated Duke that's ranked 6th in the IL poll, but in our poll as well. And then you have the Big Ten, for instance, which has had, I would say, certainly a weaker non-con than I expected them to have. I expected the league to fare better. They have 3 teams in the top 10 of the media poll and the top 10 of our poll. Maryland and Ohio State's RPIs do not align whatsoever with at this moment in time, with their rankings, or in some cases you could say their record. That's just part of the deal. That's kind of how the numbers shake out, especially at this point in time. But I think that does speak to how maybe unnerving, that's maybe where unsettled things feel right now. I think that we have the top 3 teams. I don't know about not in the, it won't be in the IL. I know Terry Foy has ranked Harvard number 1 the past couple weeks. And there is a pretty, though, like, even within the points, like, it's Notre Dame has 423 points in the media poll, Richmond has 416, and Princeton has 403. So it's a pretty compressed right there. And then it's a bigger gap from Princeton down to Harvard. In our poll, Princeton, Notre Dame, and Richmond were 1 through 3. So even though there's that kind of, maybe potentially you could say there's a clear sort of pecking order, I think even within that, there's still probably it feels like there's some questions. Richmond's had an unbelievable start to the year. And Richmond has set themselves up to the point where if they needed an NCAA tournament bid, it's going to be there for them. But who's the best team Richmond has beaten?
Georgetown.
Fair. Currently ranked 15th, 2-3. They've certainly had an underachieving kind of start to the year. You could say Cornell, who just got absolutely shredded by Penn State, 19-7, and then they beat Virginia, who is kind of the talk of the lacrosse world right now, not for the good reasons. And this is not to diminish Richmond, who I think has shown to this point what a strong team that they are, and has shown a great balance to me on all sides of the ball. If you look at just the numbers, Richmond has the 3rd best offense in the country by offensive efficiency. They have the 8th best defense. They have they're a little worse at the faceoff dot. They're 31st in that department. But with the freshman goalie Connor Knight in there, they're 9th in save percentage. So they're top 10 in 3 out of the 4 kind of quadrants that we look at. And if you do look at, I still like. I think the numbers as far as adjusted efficiency and things like that are kind of at a good point right now. We still probably need a couple more weeks to really see how things shake out, but we kind of have a clear picture now with everybody's got 4 or 5 games under their belt. Notre Dame, Richmond, and Princeton are all top 5 in offensive efficiency. Notre Dame is 10th, Richmond is 8th, Princeton is 6th in defensive efficiency. Interestingly enough, I guess Richmond's not 31st. Princeton's 8th in faceoff efficiency, which is actually better than I thought. Notre Dame's 11th. And then in save percentage, Notre Dame is down at 19th, but Richmond is 9th, and Princeton is 2nd. So the efficiency numbers are kind of backing up that those are the top 2 teams. I'll tell you, Harvard also looks very strong in that regard. They are first in offensive efficiency. They are 5th in defensive efficiency. The Harvard Crimson are currently above 50% at the faceoff dot. They're down in 42nd, but that's progress that they will take right now. And then Graham Stevens in net is at 4th at 64.3%. So those are numbers that certainly, Harvard will take. But I do think that's kind of, a little. When I ask you, like, again, who's the best team Richmond's beaten, you go to Georgetown. I think a lot of people be like, okay, how good is Georgetown? I think that's a pretty open question. I think Notre Dame has proven a good bit so far, especially with how much they had to replace. But Notre Dame's in a similar spot. The Ohio State one, I think, really showed a lot for them on the road. But before then, when it was Georgetown and Maryland, it was kind of like, Harvard even. Like, and then once you get past those 3, who I think there are a lot fewer questions about, Harvard, UNC, Duke, Ohio State, Syracuse, that next 5. How strongly do you feel about, I know you're a betting man, Safe. How strongly do you feel about, any of those teams as a Final Four type team?
I definitely feel good about Harvard. If I had to, like, I stick with our metrics, Jake. Top 10 defense, top 10 offense, and adjusted efficiency. Unlaxed power is kind of like our North Star of teams. Like, I kind of feel like I have to consider legitimate. We had Cuse in there. I'll put them as well just because of what they have. I thought the Penn game was definitely a gut check win and pretty impressive. This extended road trip of theirs that they were able to, like, kind of turn turn things around after losing to Harvard and Princeton early on. If we're going next, sorry, what was it? Penn State, was that the 3rd team you had in there?
I went Harvard, Carolina, Duke, Ohio State, Cuse.
Carolina, Duke. Like I said, I had to put some respect on Duke. Like, I mean, they just keep winning, so that's why I put them. Kind of my close to 6. I think that's what we had when it all averaged out. I just can't trust the schedule. Like, if we're gonna
that's my
point
question.
At Richmond, like, then Duke has 0. St. Joe's, which is crazy. They have a top 10 win in St. Joe's RPI.
If I gave okay, here's how I'll do this next. If I gave Penn State, Maryland, Cornell, Hopkins, Denver, and Army, and Georgetown, I'll throw Georgetown in there as well. So that's 7 teams. Penn State, Maryland, Cornell, your Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, Denver, Army, and Georgetown. If I gave them Duke's schedule, how many of those teams do you think have a loss against Duke's schedule?
I don't think any of them have a loss, and if they have one, it's 1. Maybe Jacksonville if it's on the road, because Jacksonville's definitely played pretty stoutly throughout the season. But yeah, I don't I mean, Duke's dropping 21-6 on Air Force. I don't think Penn State, would have a problem, even if it's, in Colorado. Denver's already beaten Air Force, so I think that's and they probably would take care of Jacksonville, if they had that. Again, I'm not trying to dunk on their schedule. I already did that in the preseason enough.
Yeah, like
whatever marker.
It gets to the uncertainty aspect of it. Is how Duke is ranked 6th right now, and their numbers are certainly very good. They are racking up a pretty. Duke is averaging, they're +9 in possessions average for this. Carolina is first at +10, which is a pretty. I think that kind of gets to Carolina's thing as well. Carolina, Penn State, which I think it makes it a really interesting game this weekend. You have two teams where it feels like the strength of their team is their faceoff play, and both teams have very good offenses too. But I do kind of, look a bit at, what like Carolina is interesting. They're 5th, and again, not to listen. This is just our kind of as you said, our North Star kind of metric that we put in place with the top 10. But I think it tracks pretty. We should do this one time. This will be a project that I'll put together. Every national champion, and how many of them hit that? Because it's pretty. I'll do Cornell last. I'll go last year. And shout out Laxref for having all this that I can pull up really easily. Cornell was first in offense. They were 21st in defense. The caveat I will put on that is that their defensive efficiency in the last three in the NCAA tournament, 17.2% against Albany, 32.7% against Richmond, but 22.6% against Penn State and 26% against Maryland. Their defense at money time was terrific. They did kind of the old Virginia from a couple years back, where you'd always kind of look at Virginia's defense in February, March, and in early April, and you're like, man, I don't know. And then right at the right time, they would turn it on and play their best at that time of year. Cornell was 8th in adjusted faceoff percentage, and they were 12th in adjusted save percentage. So Cornell kind of is a little on the outside there, but they were still top 10 in 2. They were basically top 20 in all of them. And Cornell, they kind of had the X factor of they had one of the best players of all time.
And the rest of the Final Four fits in. I mean, again, it's not a causation, but it's a correlation. Maryland was with a 4th and 2nd in defense and 8th in offense. Penn State 10 and 10, I think, right? They were 10th in defense.
Penn State
9th in defense and 10th in defense.
10th and 9th. They were 5th in faceoffs. Their weakness was goaltending. So they had 3 of the 4. Syracuse was 5th in offense, 13th in defense. Though I think Cuse took a hit in that Final Four game. Yeah. Cuse was top 10 in defense for most of the year. Cuse was 3rd in faceoff percentage and 6th in save percentage.
Yeah, and even if you average all those 4 teams, even if you average all 4 of those.
So you got to be top 20, and you got to be at least top 20. You can't have a anchor, really. And you have to be top 10 in probably 3. 24 Notre Dame and 20 are kind of 24 Notre Dame, 1st in offense, 1st in defense, 4th in faceoffs, 2nd in save percentage. The 23 Notre Dame team was 2nd in offense, 1st in defense. Faceoffs was their one kind of weakness. They were 30th, but again, I'll point to Will Lynch on Memorial Day weekend played phenomenal. And then the 22 Terps, the most beautiful of all, 1-1-1-1. And again, yeah, you're right. Like the Final Four teams, this tracks. Like just that 23 year, for instance, Virginia was 1st in offense. They were 9th in defense. They were 10th in faceoffs, and they were 7th in save percentage. There you go. That was a Virginia team was top 10. So you got to kind of be definitely in the top 10. Oh, your base, like I say, your base, offense and defense. You really kind of need to be probably top 10, and then you can't have a real anchor in there. But this gets to the point I was going to make with Carolina. At this moment in time, sixth in offensive efficiency. So that's for defense, 23rd. Face-offs, obviously excellent at second. Who's number one? Penn State. Save percentage for Carolina, 30th. So you've got a defense kind of outside the top 20. Goalie play, which probably ties into that. Outside. Fifth, and kind of metrically, they're a little, it's just, it's okay. It's not, it's in the conversation, and Carolina's an example now of, in 3 of Carolina's wins, they've had plus 10 possessions. They had 21 more possessions than Brown on Saturday. That's their fewest. Carolina has not had a possession disadvantage in any game this season. The 2 games at their lowest, +3, they beat Jacksonville by 1 and they lost to Princeton by 2. Granted, in that Princeton game, it's worth noting they outshot them by like a gajillion, and Ryan Croddick made 25 saves. Now, it's pointing out, is Carolina going to have a possession disadvantage in any game with how good Brady Wambach is? And how Carolina rides? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out this weekend with Penn State. With how good Penn State is at the faceoff dot with Colby Baldwin. But, I think that just kind of gets to where there's some uncertainty, I guess you could say, about some of these teams. Is, Cuse is a good, I think, good example of this as well. Cuse's first 4 games, it all kind of looked, they were kind of really hitting this kind of note. Like their offense was showing strongly, their defense was tremendous. Face-off play above 60%, adjusted 3 games. Cuse's offense the last 3 weeks, 23% adjusted offense efficiency against Princeton, 28% against Penn, 33% against Hopkins. Face-off play came down a little bit too against Princeton and Penn. They've kind of come back to the pack a little bit in that regard, as well. So, it's the only teams where I feel like there's, I guess with Princeton, maybe you always kind of have some questions about that defense. You do kind of wonder, maybe, like right now they're playing excellent. Maybe it's just kind of one of those things in the back of your mind, and face-offs, I guess you could say, when the weekend. But I mean, he's playing again, 9th in the country so far. Notre Dame as well. I still feel like I don't really know what Notre Dame is. They're 5-0, but I don't know. I guess maybe it's because we didn't see them play that Georgetown game.
You see the Georgetown game, the Ohio State game, kind of difficult for us to watch because we're at the Hopkins game.
That's a good point. I think it's just me.
You watched the Maryland play game,
I've
right?
watched the Maryland game. I've seen them play one. I caught some of the end of the Ohio State game, and then I went back and watched. I call that probably the 4th quarter of the Ohio State game, and then I went back and watched some of the highlights. But start to finish, how many games of them have I seen? 1.
Yeah.
And I watched some of the Marquette game too, but that was on the the field level, guy with an iPhone, crouching down. But yeah, I think that gets into it. How many? Again, you said you were in on Harvard for sure.
Harvard, definitely. I believe in Carolina. Like I thought their schedule. Like I do feel, the Princeton. That it comes like they shot until the horn sounded. You know what I mean? Like they gave everything. It was a pretty close game until the 4th. So the Hopkins game was dominating in the 4th. The Penn win, I think it's going to age well, just because I think Penn's going to consistently be a decent team throughout the year, probably a top 20 win. So, and the Jacksonville game, kind of looked a little sketchy at the beginning, but Jacksonville's kind of shown again to just be like a tough opponent. So I kind of impressed, but yeah, I think that's the thing. Is yes, defense may be a little bit outside elite offense, but kind of have an anchor in one place. They are buoyed by having Wambach, which is definitely a weapon, and that's why I feel like behind Harvard, I'd have them. As I'm excited for that Harvard North Carolina game in particular, but and Cuse as well. Like I said, that just feel like of that next tier. Yeah, they've have 2 losses on their belt, to pretty top teams. But again, kind of impressed like how they kind of responded in the Penn game to turn that around from what looked like a short defeat. And the Hopkins game, just able to just like kind of separate. Like I thought it was kind of really impressive. Like just being able to change gears and kind of really put them away. So we saw a lot about from McCool. Kind of helped steady the ship there and kind of give them what they needed to get through. So kind of impressed with Cuse, but if you kind of had to rank them, like I said, Harvard just having beaten Syracuse, feel like the metrics as well are pretty high in the face-off, which was always their anchor, seems to not be an issue as much, and maybe at least be replacement level. And North Carolina, like I said, it's just probably the most potent potentially, just because it feels like that offense. If those shots do land, they really can put a number on you. But just right outside of those, I'd probably go Harvard, Syracuse, and North Carolina in that next tier.
I'll flip it this way. How many of these teams? I'll just take the top 10. I'll take the top 10. Is there anyone outside the top 10 that you think has a Final Four ceiling?
Top 10 RPI?
No, ranking, the media poll.
Oh, poll. Sorry.
The RPI is, it's St. Joe's is top 10 RPI. No disrespect to St. Joe's.
That's good. Sick. Shout out to the Hawks. I think our poll kind of matches the media poll, so I'm just looking at now.
Yeah.
Like,
anyone outside
the Final Four or championship?
Final Four ceiling. I'll go Final Four. You think at their best is a Final Four team or could be a Final Four team?
I don't know about Denver. The kind of sleeper like
Final Four. I think they can go to the Final Four.
I mean, out of the next batch,
you don't have to pick one.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I'm just saying, is there anyone that you look at and you're like, they could be a Final Four team at their best?
I'll be honest. I think if you have a top 10 defense and they have a number 1 in Denver, the offense could be a little better. But that if they just choke you out, like they don't need to score 16 goals. That's why I think this is the year. The Empire Strikes Back. Like this, the defense is strike back kind of a year. Like, or maybe maybe that's just a vibe or a feeling. I haven't been able to watch TV like we normally do because of the traveling.
Their offense scored 10 goals against Air Force and 8 goals against Utah. Like their offense is 25th, and their face-off play, which is the big thing, is much better than it was last year. It's 21st. They're a defensive team only, really. Can you be a defensive team only and get to the Final Four?
I think if they kind of get you into their kind of game, yeah, like
who's their best win?
Ohio State is my team outside the top, but they're not outside the top 10. I don't really.
No, again, you don't have to pick one. You don't have to pick Denver. I mean, if you really want to, you can. You don't have.
No
to pick
one I would put like there was a second after Hopkins beat Virginia that I may have put like $25 on Hopkins to win the title.
Like if everything goes right for Denver, I feel like it maxes out at the quarterfinals. And that's if everything goes right. I'll be honest, I don't think they're going to make the tournament. I'm just being like they could. I'm not, but I'm just. So if everything goes right, do you think they're a Final Four team?
I'm going to know like this weekend. They're going to play Ohio State and they're going to play Syracuse in 4 days.
All right, let's just take this Denver thing out of it. Yeah. If everything goes right for Cornell or Johns Hopkins, do you think they're a Final Four team?
I mean, there's something about this Hopkins team that I kind of like. I'm falling for.
I get it. But again,
but their defense isn't as good as I think it is. Like they're not top 10. Like their offense number wise is actually better, like 15.
I think their defense. I think it's gonna flip. I think their offense does have a bit. This was something Terry mentioned that when we had the conversation with him. It was like, their offense does have a bit of like, kind of like hoodwink to it, where you're kind of like the Virginia game. They score 14 goals. It's like, how did they score 14 goals? And the answer was Virginia basically just gave them like 4 goals by, overrunning ground balls or not getting back in the hole on defense. And then Hopkins. Also, the answer: Hopkins hit their last 6 shots of the game.
Yeah, I was going to say Hunter Chauvet scored 6 goals. Yeah, that was a big part.
Like, I think the answer is going to be Hopkins' defense is 20th right now. I think if they continue to get good goalie play, I think that defense could climb. Whereas I think the offense is probably right where it is at 16.
Yeah, that's a Milliman team. It kind of feels like defensive rent and a replacement level offense.
Is that a Final Four team? No. So I think the answer
I'll be categorical. I hate doing that, obviously. No.
Okay.
Nobody outside of the top 10 media poll, present day, March 11th.
As a Final Four.
It's a legitimate Final Four team. Yeah. If you make the quarterfinals, then technically, you're, I guess, kind of a contender. But because if you win that game, you're in.
What's the old Quint quote? No one remembers quarterfinal losers.
Exactly. No, they don't. That's a money round. No, I know.
Okay. So we'll take the top 10. Everybody else below, sorry, you're gone. How many of these teams in the top 10 do you think have played to their ceiling yet, or are approaching their ceiling?
No, just because I think a few of them are still rising. Like I said, maybe we just haven't seen enough Notre Dame. But that's part of it, just like that. Richmond, I just think they're consistent. Maybe it's not like parabolic, but like each week I'm more impressed with their doing.
How much better do you think Richmond can get? Or is this maybe where Richmond maxes out, which is fine.
I think this is near peak. Their offense, I'm really impressed with this year. Just how many goals have been dropping defensively as well. Just besides the Carolina game and the Georgetown game to an extent, keeping everyone under 10. It's really impressive. The Georgetown was at 10, so really more than 10. Only Virginia's eclipsed that. And, that was 18-12 win that they were stopping them for a little while. So I was like, I'm really I'd love to see that Maryland game. Maybe they can make it up as well. But I think this is near peak Richmond because they wiped they ran the out of conference slate essentially undefeated. And I think that they got a couple more Notre Dame game obviously in Chi-Town. But if you said at the beginning of this year, would Richmond be 4-2? At this point, I'd be like, yeah, that'd be great. 4 wins, who they are. But of the first 16, I guess the Maryland game missed there. So if the first 7 games are there are 5-2, would you be impressed? I'd be like, if we included the Maryland game, I'd be like, absolutely. That means at least, they won one of the games, Cornell, Virginia, or Maryland, or Georgetown, which would have been pretty significant top 10. They would probably won 2 of those given the record. I thought if it was 5-2 in the first 7 games, if we included Maryland, I'm like, that'd be great. That'd be a great win. They're exceeded that. So I think this is near peak Richmond, and I think that it's something they can sustain. I don't see them dipping, but I feel like this is probably as best as Richmond can be.
Okay, I agree, and I think that could make the Final Four. I'm them being as good as they are right now is not a bad thing. It does pose some challenges though. Look, you never want to peak too early, and you kind of got to maintain it for the next 2 months. Or if you do dip, you got to be able to get it back by the time the NCAA tournament comes around. I agree. I think Richmond is at its peak. Can Princeton get any better than they've been the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
I mean, it's tough to see how. I think you could always have, sure the coaches and look at the film, there's areas that they think, but this is pretty close to similar to Richmond. If someone at the beginning of the season told me Princeton is going to be 4-1 with their schedule, would you think that that's? And I'm like, yeah, that would be exactly.
Here's the best of look. In Princeton's 4 wins for the last 4 weeks, offensive efficiency 40.5. Maybe they could get a little bit better. I mean, like maybe. Defensive efficiency 19. I cannot see them getting any better than that. Face-off win percentage 61.1%. Adjusted turnover percentage 18%. They don't turn the ball over. They're winning 60% of their face-offs. They're giving up goals on fewer than 1 in 5 possessions, and they're scoring on 2 in 5. I don't think Princeton can play any better than that. The question is, again, is this a level they can maintain for the season? And we've seen teams the past couple of years do this. Maryland in 22 basically did it the entire year. Like they beat Loyola by 12 goals in the second week of the season and never let up. Notre Dame in 24 basically did it. I mean, they dropped to Georgetown week 3 or whatever, and then they kind of were a little slower the next 1 or 2. But I mean, I think they came back and beat Maryland like by 6 the week after. Notre Dame was pretty much did the whole year in 24. Cornell was the number 1 team in the country for like 2 straight months in the year. Now, again, I think they hit a different level come the tournament with their defense, but they were still the number 1 team for. So I think Princeton is there. Here's an interesting one for you, Safe. I talked about this with Ryan on the pod on Saturday. How much better do you think Syracuse can get? Because I think there's an argument. I'm not saying it's the case. I think you can make an argument this is as good as Syracuse is going to get.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the consistency part, I could see being improved, and I think that would go a long way to making them a better team. Like they won the Penn game in overtime, but the first 48, maybe even 52 minutes of the game, it looked like Penn maybe going out there with a comfortable win, like especially given the odds before the game. Similar with the Hopkins game, just the sloppiness at the beginning. If Hopkins was on the ball, like I could have seen Syracuse maybe had a deficit going into halftime, similar to what they had in Penn in terms of like just not capitalizing on their own opportunities and a lot of unforced errors, and Hopkins like just being just a little bit cleaner on their own end. Like that could have been a situation where maybe they're going to halftime down 5-3 or 6-3 or something like that. That's what consistent. The Princeton game as well. First quarter, it reminded me of Princeton against Penn State. I was just like, what's going on? Who's the Syracuse team? And they kind of kept it a little bit, they climbed back into it, never really threatened, but they made the score look better. So it's I think if they were just like a more consistent, like the way that they can play, like the Maryland game is the best example. Kind of settled. They kind of solved it. Like this is who they are now. Being able to get in the mud, and play physical. I think defensively, like I love what they're doing. I think offensively, I think see a little bit more consistency, and because Odinera, he's obviously a pod favorite of ours, but I think defensively they've been great, and it could just be a little bit better and more consistent offensively. So I do see some room for them to move on. I mean, number 2 defense. It can't get any better than that, really. And the fact but yeah, I think the offense, and again, not offense production potency or anything like that, just consistency. Like all 4 quarters, like producing numbers instead of like kind of getting into early deficits in some games that I didn't feel that they really needed to, or that bad. Like I said, the Princeton game was maybe an anomaly, but it definitely was just like, this isn't the first weekend, like kind of not excuse Princeton, Penn State, but like I could understand why, playing your first opponent who's already had a game under their belt, maybe you're on your heels, like, second game of a road trip, after you beat Maryland, 2 weeks prior. Like I just didn't expect that kind of a lackluster start. So that maybe colored me a little bit, but yeah, I do think consistency and maybe that offense is being more, able to produce every quarter at least 2 goals. Like it's a bare minimum. I think you should be able to get from Syracuse offense. That's my main thing.
Can I propose a counter argument?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that a Syracuse team that plays Spallina, Thompson, Leo, Roa, Figueres, Dwan, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 seniors. Can you find that consistency in the last 2 months of your senior years? Have you seen that consistency from this Syracuse group throughout their career? I mean, isn't that kind of the big? Hasn't that always kind of been the question?
I mean,
I guess Cuse is a different question because they made the Final Four. So I guess with them, it's more winning the championship. I guess is the. But I'm just posing the counter argument here of if the argument is consistency, and I think you're right. I think that's the main thing because we've seen each unit of that group perform at a level high enough to be a top 5 team and make a Final Four. If the question is consistency, and I would argue that that's kind of been the question about them their entire careers, at least since maybe early on the defense was the question, but that defense for about over a year now has been pretty elite. The consistency's kind of been the question the whole time, hasn't it?
Which I mean,
can they find that consistency at like this is it? They're going to have to show something about themselves that they have not shown yet. And I'm not saying
this is a great point because like you could a critical Syracuse theory of last year, you could say after a pretty decent to impressive start, the Maryland game, that was their bugaboo, and the Harvard game just 15-14 shootout. From there, they kind of righted the ship, and then that 3-game losing streak turned it around for the ACC's and tournament, and was able to win it. But both the Harvard game and the Princeton game, like it needed like not 1 in 1,000 type thing, but it was just like an extremely unlikely scenario for them to come back. Being that far down, the Harvard game, being able to like sprint back and helped by that unreleasable penalty. But like my main point is like, I'm not saying luck, they won that game, but it's just like that and the Princeton game, they took like monumental effort to like grab victory from the jaws of defeat in both of those games. So you could say maybe that Final Four run was maybe a mirage. Maybe they kind of played a little bit, exceeded their own expectations. So yeah, you have a good point. Like maybe you haven't seen it all 4 years or the 3 years prior for the senior group. Last year definitely make the Final Four. Can't take that away from them. But the way that they close the season, losing 3 of those final regular season games and like kind of not luck, but an unlikely victory in those 2 pre-Final Four tournament games.
The Harvard game, the Princeton game. I mean, the Princeton game was crazy, but I think they merited it. And not saying they didn't merit the Harvard one. The Harvard one, the Harvard game was bizarre. And I'll put it this way. I'll switch that lens then to Harvard. I think you are right that if you take Harvard from last year and you keep the offense as good as it is, and you improve the faceoff play, that's a pretty darn good team. However, I do think you can maybe flip if you want to take the Ryan sort of view. And I'm not saying that Ryan doesn't think Harvard's a good team, but more just if you take the Ryan kind of view of is the Syracuse Harvard game just like a boogeyman type game for Cuse? That's just kind of like the new Army game. If that's the case, I think you could still have some questions about Harvard. The schedule after Cuse does kind of drop off. Providence, Colgate, Marquette, Michigan. Now listen, they're blowing them out. So sometimes it's not about who you play, it's about how you play. And they've been very impressive. But I think you could definitely if you wanted to be a contrarian, I think you could take a contrarian stance about Harvard. I think that's the thing that makes this interesting is that I think Princeton's kind of near their peak. I think that Richmond is near their peak. I think Notre Dame might be. I'm not sure. Again, I just need to see more of them. But Maryland certainly, I don't think we feel like it's hit their ceiling by any means. Penn State's a weird one. I mean, in their good games, they look like a Final Four team. In their bad games, they most certainly don't. Maybe this is just who they are. I think you could kind of, they're definitely a kind of use case of consistency. In Penn State's wins, it's nuts. In their 4 wins, offensive efficiency, 43.3%. Insane. Defensive efficiency, 20.5%. Face-off win percentage, 72.3%. So in Penn State's 4 wins are the best team in the country. Just like, there you go. That's the easiest way I can say it. In their 2 losses, defensive efficiency, 34.4%. Offense, 31%. In their 4 wins, they're the best team in the country. In their 2 losses, they're not an NCAA tournament team. I don't know. All right, Tiff, last one I'll throw at you. Granted, we didn't quite see them against Notre Dame. You did see them in person against Georgetown, though.
I did. Big Nick. Big winner for me that weekend.
Is this the best Ohio State can be? I'll give you the numbers real quick. Offensive efficiency, 28th. Defensive efficiency, 3rd. Face-offs, 6th. Save percentage, 8th. There's one question mark there.
They need more of a punch on offense, just for the threat level to open it up more space for other. They've been hit by injuries and stuff like that, but like this defense, they lost Van Buren, and I didn't think they would collapse, but I was just like, I thought it'd be a hit.
Yeah.
They look. That's an elite defense. I saw it in person. I was like, they kind of shut down Georgetown, but it was just like. It was a difficult day. It was like with the games that we used to think of Georgetown, just a grimy rock fight. They were able to prevent Georgetown from doing what they wanted to do, and they always felt like 1 or 2 steps ahead. Even though Georgetown jumped out to an early lead from there, first quarter on, Ohio State took control, and it was always had kind of a stiff arm distance away from Georgetown throughout the game, even though close to the end. But yeah, offensively, that's it. That's where they could get better. If they could just get to 20th with that defense, top 5 face-off, top 3 goalie, maybe get to a quarterfinal game and just get your kind of game, jump out to a lead, and maybe because it was I know it was at home and they still lost, but that's the number 1 team in the country, Notre Dame. They took them down to the wire, and I think Notre Dame's, we kind of just already said that the offense is not second in the country, so it wasn't a plotting, waste the entire shot. This was a pretty potent Notre Dame team, and they were able to hold them to 9 goals. So I think defensively they can play with anybody. If they just have a little bit more juice on offense, I think it's a Final Four team and could be better. They could be better. Right now, I kind of give them odds, in my opinion. I think they probably are favored to win the Big Ten title, regular season and tournament. So you saw how that worked out for them last year.
That's a tough one. I don't see. Here's what makes this fascinating. Ohio State's 28th in offense. They are 3rd in defense. They're 6th in face-off play, and they're 8th in goaltending. Maryland is 12th in offense, 22nd in defense, 4th in face-off play, and 20th in goaltending.
The thing with Maryland is that I also find them not punchless, but not as potent as
Well, that's
I
for
would think
sure.
with those weapons, like
But then it's also like I think if I told you they were just outside the top 10, that probably would have surprised you, right?
for offense,
Yeah.
a little bit. Now, they had a couple
Like
of games where
I mentioned this on the pod on with Ryan. It's like in Princeton's last 4 games, the team that played the best offense against them was Maryland, which is a little. I mean, I guess you could say UNC because Craddock made freaking 25 saves, but they played better offense against Princeton than Syracuse did. It's not for nothing. So that's not. This isn't me making the Maryland case. I think it's just that
no, yeah.
Ohio State, like I think most people probably would agree Ohio State is Big Ten favorite. But then you look at these two teams and it's like, are they that much different?
No, not that much different.
And
But I think if Maryland plays at least the current edition of what we're seeing on the field against a top 5 defense, they're going to have a problem.
I agree. I think Ohio State is the same way. So, here's my thing.
That's it. Yeah.
The Ohio State case is, what if they could get to 20th? The Maryland case is, what if they get to 5th? You see, it's like that's kind of the point. It's like if Ohio State gets a little bit better on offense, yeah, they like a little bit better gets them to 20th. If Maryland gets a little bit better, they're comfortably in the top 10.
I got to see that box score for that Maryland game because I feel like they did a lot in like the last 3 minutes, right? Yeah, 5 minutes.
3. I mean, like it's I mean they started the game.
It was 13-9 with 6:48. That's what Princeton's last score. And then Spanos 5:35, 3:16 by Spanos and Chris Lyons at 1:27. So yeah, again, they put the ball in the net. They almost took it the whole time. I just like again, I felt like just. I don't think they're going to have the 19 goals against Loyola or the 13 against Delaware. I think if they play a top 5 defense, Maryland would be lucky to get to 10.
I mean, we've seen them play a top 5. We saw them play Cuse. They had 9. We've seen them play a top 5 defense. And Princeton's a top 5 defense right now.
Yeah, for sure.
They scored 12.
It is like they kind of struggle. That's what I'm saying. I think they did have a burst at the end, kind of make it really close. So they almost took it to overtime, but it's just.
I get your point. I guess
I get it.
If Ohio State is a little bit away from being a Final Four team, and they're 28th in offensive efficiency, and Maryland's 12th, Maryland is a little bit away from being what?
But it's Maryland. They're not the other intangibles, right? The saves, like Ohio State's top 8 was Maryland, 20th. That's the root pool thing hasn't. But it's great. Also, face off better. Like they're still up there, but
yeah, they're 4. I think their defense can play better.
I hope like Maryland. I like.
And again, also they've played 3 top 10 offenses, so that's.
And I'm thinking of just like flashbacks of last year, Big Ten play. Just like each of those games were like 6-5, 5-7 Jersey like brawl like in Piscataway. Like
I guess here's my cards on the table. I don't think Ohio State's offense is going to get better.
Yeah, that's it. Like it has to. Like, and I don't see it either. But
my worry here is that it's actually the thing I mentioned at the start of the year, which is. I guess I could say, could they get better? I mean, I don't know. Like, usually teams' offenses get worse than Big Ten play.
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Like 28th, you want to get better. Usually it gets worse than Big Ten.
It's just like a sign. This is like welcome to hell. It's like go into like late March, early April.
Last year, this is what I mentioned in the fall with Ohio State. Last year, Ohio State had 9 guys score 11 more goals. Basically, that's your starting attack, your first midfield, and your second midfield. Everybody on the team who played scored 10 plus goals on offense.
Big Nick needed to get to Connors. Like that was a coup by Warren, but like I can see that like that.
I don't disagree. Yeah, so like last year, everybody scores 10 plus goals. Last year they had 3 guys with 15 plus assists. 2 of them graduated. Griffin Turner, who was the leader, and Jack McKenna, who was third. But this was an offense built around everybody could get the ball and dodge and score. And also, I would say, Alex Marinier took the most shots, as he should. He took a very comfortable 115, scored 50. I mean, that's really nice. After that, after that, Haas 71, O'Leary 66, Matthews 56, Donnery 51, McKenna 50, Sheen 43, Mayer 41, White 40, Griffin Turner, who had only 7 goals but had 25 points. He led the team in assists. It's like, there you go. Their top 9 guys had 10 plus goals. Their next guy, number 10, had 18 assists. He had 34 shots. So they had 9 guys took 40 plus shots. And then a 10th guy took 34. That's a great dispersion. It was the epitome of balanced offense last year for Ohio State. This year, Garrett Haas is having an incredible season.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's got 30 points.
Yeah.
And 16 and 14, double threat. He's shooting 33%, which is perfect. 19 turnovers, but he's got the ball in his stick a lot. Yeah. That's one. I mean, he's got way more turnovers than anybody else, which basically just tells you he has the ball in his. But this goes back to the point balance. He's got the ball in his stick all the time. The next leading guy in assists on Ohio State is Russell Melendez with 6, who is not playing a lot. I mean, like he didn't play against Cleveland State and Bellarmine. Then he didn't really play against Air Force. He only had a ground ball. He had 3 assists against High Point, 5 shots against George. Russell Melendez has not scored since the first game of the season. He had a hat trick against Detroit Mercy. He has not scored since. Whatever's going on, I don't know if it's injury, illness, whatever it is, he doesn't look like himself. He's not playing out there every possession. He was the big, you mentioned the Connors. This was the big pickup they got, was getting Melendez and hoping that he could be what we've seen him be at different points of his career, but probably only once over a full season. So Haas has 6. After Haas, the drop down in terms of assists is pretty steep. He's only the real guy who can create for other people. Marinier is still doing his thing. He's got 17 goals. Liam White has 11 goals. And then Khalif Hocker, the freshman, has 11. Put up a lot of those in kind of against some of the weaker opponents, but still a goal against Georgetown and a goal against Notre Dame. So he's playing pretty well. But after him, it drops down. Like Burt Whistle's got 7, Jackson Walsh 6, Jack Delaberti, the freshman, 4. But I'm looking at kind of like the shots. Burt Whistle's got 17 shots in 7 games. So that's probably going to put him, if you figure they're going to play, let's say they play another 7 games, let's say 5 Big Ten games, Denver, 1 Big Ten tournament game, that would put him at 34. And he's 4th on the team in shots. Melendez has 15. Jack Delaberti has 14 in 7 games. That's 2. He could get to 28. Like Marinier, 44 shots, Haas 40, Hocker 36, White 31. There's a big gap there between that top 4 and the rest of the lineup. And I just wonder.
Maybe Khalif's the engine, not engine, but he's got 11 shots or 11 goals. I think only like 22 shots by IS.
36. So it's good percentage. It's good percentage. I think that, that's a lot. He's a freshman who's probably going to draw a poll. Like, I think he's going to be a great player, but that's a lot of responsibility too. To me, it just feels like Haas is doing so much, and they only kind of have 4 guys who are really going. Does this offense have, what if he gets taken away, basically? And he's an awesome player. I don't know if he's put the team on my back, kind of good. And so I just think the offense, is kind of, punchless isn't the right word. They have pieces there, but it feels more like the Ohio State offenses we saw in 2024, 2023, where it's, what they are, and you kind of always know what Ohio State's offense is. It's a very, I don't mean basic like derogatorily, but it's
deliberate. What is that?
Deliberate's the word, and then their plan of attack is usually pretty straightforward. We'll set a pick or 2, kind of big little, and then we're creating separation for a guy to dodge to the dirt and shoot or pass. Like that's what it is. Get guys who can dodge their man to shoot or dodge to pass. And so I don't know if they have as many. Last year they had the perfect offense, the perfect guys for that setup. They had so many guys who could dodge, and they had a couple guys who could pass too. I just don't know if the pieces are there for that this year.
It always feels like counterintuitive, and I do always feel like a really good defense, especially a star goalie like they have, like that could be the the engine or the propulsion of like a fast break, like counterattack type, and maybe that's
Rutgers,
like that could
Rutgers
be.
was Connor Hurst.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
Now
Pete Rutgers is exactly what I'm thinking of. But that's what I feel, and that could be the thing that gives Ohio State, that 5-3 lead instead of 4-3. That they don't get a lot of offense, like that. Those quick like turnarounds and counterattacks, like it could be still part of their offense because as long as there's someone like backing up goal, if you have a shot and have numbers to take it, and it's like not that I'm sure they try to engage and go forward when the opportunities persist. But I just feel like when you have that, like I kind of saw that with McCool a couple of times, just like got the save, boom, just out in a second. It didn't always lead to a goal, but it always led to pressure, and then kind of putting the Jays on the heels. And I always feel like, that Ohio State's like seems perfect for that. Really solid D, like get a couple, midfielders that could just kind of transition over. And I think there's opportunities there. But
I think you make that is an awesome point. That you really should play to your kind of strengths in that regard. And I mean, they are playing. They're top 20 in pace. I mean, that's faster than Ohio State. We're kind of accustomed to Ohio State playing at. Last year they were. Give me one moment here. Last year 13th. I mean, they play. I think they're pretty. They go pretty quick in the half court. But you're right. There's not a lot of. It's almost strictly half court. It's a lot of just half court offense.
And the parts in the Georgetown game where I thought they were kind of really at their not best, but like kind of putting them in the game. Like Georgetown was up 2-0. I forget who it was. Maybe it was the younger Connor. Made it. Took a shot, hit off the pole. Like get exactly what it was, but Ohio State was up the field like 20. 20 feet, like or 20 steps. Like they were going in that goal. I can't say for sure, obviously, but I think like that stem that Georgetown kind of burst at the beginning, it could have been easily like 3-0 and then really on your heels to 2-1. And that's like kind of when the change happened. It felt from there, like how they felt more in control there. Like I said, they took some opportunities. Like I said, that's why I just wish like, they have been able to see every single game, obviously, but I would like to see a little bit more of that. Maybe, and that's where there can be, the extra offensive punch. Because I think they're gonna, they got to do well. Obviously these away games that they have coming, or these non-conference games that they have coming up. Or sorry, one more with Denver. It's going to be important. But I think given the RPI and kind of lackluster out of conference schedule, like I think they're going to need to go like 4-1 in the Big Ten to make sure that they have like a at-large possibility without having to rely on the Big Ten tournament.
I think this is a massive weekend for the Big Ten. I think Maryland and Virginia is, I don't want to say play-in game, but if Maryland loses, all their margin for error is gone. They have lost every margin. They would have to go. They would need to go 5-0 in Big Ten play, I think.
Yeah.
Because
if they lose this 2-4.
2-4, I would say 7 wins puts them on the bubble.
Yeah.
So you could get 4 wins in to get on the bubble, you would need 4-1 plus a Big Ten semifinal win. Or 5-0 gets you to 7 going into the Big Ten tournament. 8 gets them in. If Maryland wins 8 games, I'm standing by it. Maryland wins 8 games, they're going to be in. But if you go 2-4 and you don't go 5-0, 2 plus 4 gets you to 6. To get 8, you're just getting the AQ anyway. So
then it's just math. I love that line.
I mean, 2 plus 5 gets you to 7, maybe. Or if you're 3 though, if you're 3-3, you can go 4-1, and you probably want to win that Big Ten semifinal to be sure. You're 3-3 and you win all 5, you're in good shape. Again, 7's on the bubble, 8 for sure. So get you to 3-3, and it's still there. I mean, look, the RPI, like as you said, the math is the math. Maryland is 20th in RPI, and Ohio State is 22nd. How you schedule matters. Just Maryland's strength of schedule 3, Ohio State 37. That just kind of it says it all. So yeah, I think Maryland, Virginia, like Maryland's margin for error is all dependent on this weekend. If they lose, it's pretty much get the AQ. If they win, it's still slim, but they got a shot. Virginia, if you're Virginia, I feel you're in. I mean, we'll talk about Virginia a little more later. You've lost 2 in a row, or 2 of your last 3. You lost a game against Hopkins in which you were up, 5 goals going into the fourth quarter. And I mean, let's just be real, you threw it away that game. Then you lose a game at home to Towson on a Saturday night at Klockner. Well, to be honest, they were behind from the jump. Towson got up 3-4-1 in this game. Like Virginia, the closest Virginia got was 2 goals.
It was one of the worst nights in Charlottesville. Remember.
All right. So if you're gonna go there, I'm just gonna do it. If you're gonna go there, I'm just gonna do it. If Virginia loses this game, their NCAA tournament hopes are closing faster than the Strait of Hormuz.
Listen, it's true.
I wasn't gonna do it, but if you were gonna go there, you just lined it up. You gave me the permission. The permission structure was created.
Overton window expanded just enough.
Slide in there. Virginia would be 3-4 if they lost this game. You'd have lost 3 of your last 4 to Hopkins, Towson, and Maryland. And again, we talked about the math. They have Utah and Dartmouth. That would get them to 5-4. But then you have, and they have Drexel at the end. So that's 6-4. If they win all those, a 0 for ACC would be done. A 1-3 would be 7-7. In which case, you'd have to win a ACC semifinal. So the math problems are significant for Virginia as far as record-wise, 500. Let alone if they lose this, their best win is Colgate.
I
don't know. Yeah, it's not. So pretty much a kind of borderline elimination game in College Park this weekend. Second, Ohio State, Denver. I think this game is also pretty. Tomorrow night, Ohio State, Denver. This evening, depending probably when you're listening to this. Ohio State's best win right now is Georgetown, which I do believe will improve over the course of the season. I think Georgetown will kind of rally around and be in the mix towards the end. But if you lose this game, you've got a Georgetown win, you've got a Denver loss. You're 6-2. I think you're on the money. 4-1 is probably definitely what you, at least. Because the Big Ten, the math is not kind to the Big Ten right now.
Yeah.
So if 2 of those 4 wins are Rutgers and Michigan.
Yep.
That's which Rutgers could be in the top 20 mix. Michigan is not going to be. Michigan is a pure spoiler in Big Ten play. So I think it's definitely Denver. If they lose, is pretty much out. But Denver has Denver's season as far as is in the next 10 days. Like they play. You forgot they play Duke next Saturday. After that, so they got Ohio State, Cuse, Duke in 10 days.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, I'll know about Denver next slate of games. No, I mean, Ohio State, we kind of can bank on a Maryland game being a top 5 RPI, and may not really materialize this year yet. I do feel like, given their schedule and kind of how not as good the Big Ten is this year, like they kind of may need to go 4-1 to really, even with a decent non-conference record, the schedule didn't, kind of merit or reflect the record that they have in terms of like schedule, strength of schedule. I think Lax Power has them as 37, just as strength of schedule. So
yeah, it's not
having having a clean slate going through the Big Ten play is going to be important for them if they don't win the Big Ten tournament AQ.
And then the last one's Penn State UNC. Penn State's in this weird spot where at the moment they have two great wins over Cuse and Cornell. They also have 2 bad losses. Penn State feels like they could become one of those Duke teams. Remember where Duke would drop like 1 or 2 bad games early in the year, but then they would just win enough big games to kind of drop it off. That if they win UNC, that's kind of the point where they're at. Like they'll beat Princeton, UNC, and Cuse, or not Cuse, Cornell. I mean, that's kind of hard to argue with. On the flip side, if you lose, that balance sheet, those 2 losses are going to stick out. Nobody else really has a bad, like Ohio State doesn't have a bad loss. Even if you lose to Denver, probably not going to be a bad loss. Maryland doesn't have a bad loss on their ledger. Hopkins right now doesn't have a bad loss. If they beat Navy, won't have one. So Penn State, you're kind of sticking out like a sore thumb a little bit. If you don't win this game. So I think this is a kind of gigantic sort of weekend for the Big Ten. I think it can materially kind of change their NCAA tournament outlook for the league. I think you could, if they win all of them, like things are kind of back on track. It could be a kind of usual Big Ten year. If they lose them, I mean, the number of bids on offer for the league are going to be basically it's the regular season champion and the tournament champion will be who kind of gets the bids. So we'll see on that. All right, Safe. Let's close out here with some fun. Safe, we were asked, our good pal at Mark Hart at Fieldy Sick asked us this, and I promised that we would produce a rigorous, peer-reviewed, fact-checked list through a strenuous trial process. The question being asked of us is a comprehensive list of all Division I men's lacrosse programs that are approved to wear black jerseys. Now, this is something that is near and dear to my heart. If black is not a school color, I do not believe you should be wearing black jerseys. You should wear the jersey that fits your school's colors. So, Cornell kind of prompted this. Cornell wore black jerseys. Black is not a Cornell color. Cornell's colors are red and white. Carnelian red, I believe, and white. Cornell wore black jerseys against Penn State and lost by 13 goals. I'm not saying that it was karma, but I'm just saying. So I've got Safe here to maybe balance me out a little bit.
I was going to say this is like Jefferson Hamilton, about the central bank.
Like I'm just making it well known right now. I'm holding the line.
Absolutely, yeah, Jeffersonian to a team. But I like Hamilton. I have an expansive view on black and white are two of my favorite colors on jerseys. I always check around and DMs about all black or the cocaine whites. But if we're going to go with as an overview, it doesn't look. If it looks hot, like I think it's maybe it backfires sometimes. Teams kind of get juiced up and they don't really play well. But some looks great, especially at night games. To me, it's a good look, especially when you're kind of on the road. I could see why you go for it, and obviously the apparel companies want to push new merchandise. Not like lacrosse jerseys is a huge market, but so like I said, it kind of depends. It doesn't look at it. Can they pull it off? For the most part, I'll let it slide, but I can't wait to kind of make a list of what are we going to cap this or like?
No, I mean,
you want to just dive in, I guess. Or
yeah, all right. We'll start with the ACC. All right, safe. I'm holding firm here. Virginia, Syracuse, Notre Dame, UNC. No, flat out no.
Okay, I'll allow that because I was going to say Duke definitely. I have black. I can show you right now. I have all black Duke shorts that I wear all the time. I have all three. I have the white ones, I have the blue ones, and I have the black ones. I actually don't have the blue ones. I need to get those. But yeah, I do have the all black Duke basketball, like with a nice patch, the authentic. So absolutely, I'm okay with that. I think Carolina, can do a lot with their jerseys. I just, for a little while, I didn't like the big ram on the back. Like, I hate it. And the colors are so beautiful. Like, I feel like it's right there to like really end up our own battles with the Cuse in terms of not wearing orange enough. Not battles, sorry. Views that Cuse does not wear orange enough. We should share, but I'm good with that. Yeah, I can see those. But yeah, but Notre Dame.
No, they already have.
An all-black Notre Dame. I would love to see an all-black Notre Dame jersey with a gold dome. Like, I think it would look hot.
They already have dark. They already have two different shades of blue jerseys.
Exactly. There's a nice black one, the iris, gold iris, gold. Oh man, that would be it. It would look good. I was gonna say maybe
they have three different possible color jerseys. They can wear the kind of like lighter shade of navy blue. They can wear the darker shade, or they can wear green.
I was going to say green. I do like so.
I would listen. If they want to bring a green lacrosse jersey,
for St. Patty's Day, they should definitely do it.
Absolutely. Duke, fine. Listen. I'm in the spirit of I know this is the Ides of March, St. Patrick's Day. This is a pivotal time for you.
It's one of my favorite. Daylight savings, Ides of March.
Daylight saving.
I said it. Saving. Oh my god! I hit like 5 big tweet accounts. News accounts. I was just a menace.
All right, that's fine. We'll go with not fine. We'll go with Duke. It doesn't look bad. Now, here's what I'll say. The combos they wear with the black don't always look good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like they break out like a weird, I don't know. They'll do like they'll do like black with like white shorts or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, what are, if you're going to do the black, do all black. Maybe you could do black with blue. But Duke basketball.
And I don't like the way Cornell did that little like line of like just do black and then you have your colors for the name or the nameplates on the back. But yeah, the less is more when you're going with black. Like I think,
Yeah. All right. Binghamton, yes. Binghamton school colors are dark green, white, and black. So Binghamton has the seal of approval to wear black jerseys. Bryant, yes. Bryant wears black jerseys. Black is a Bryant school color. Let me make sure we write these names down. So Duke, Binghamton, Bryant. NGIT, no. Albany, no. UMass Lowell, no. UMBC, I'm going. Yeah, UMBC. Yeah, UMBC's got black. They're in there. So UMBC qualifies. Then we've got Vermont. No. It's America East. 3 America East. I'm giving the seal of approval to. Safe. Any disagreements?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay. A-Sun. Air Force. No. Just I think they sometimes do it. Air Force blue and silver, white. I'm no. Bellarmine, no. Jacksonville, no. Mercer, no. Queens, no. Utah.
I feel like
their colors are red and white. They do wear black a lot. Black does go well for.
We'll allow it. Got to have one in the conference.
All right, fine. I'm being very gracious here.
It's yeah. Listen, this is how they created the bicameral houses. This is the compromise.
All right, A10, Delaware. No, I think Delaware wears black. No, not having it. I'm out. High Point. No. Hobart. No. Richmond. No. St. Bonaventure. No. St. Joe's. No. And UMass. No. I'm a no on the A. I'm A10.
I feel like St. Joe's has worn black. It hasn't looked. Didn't not look bad. But all right,
they have one black.
I'll save my powder. I'll save my powder for.
Okay. They have I don't know. I feel like you got dark, you got crimson, you got maroon. I think that's better. You can wear silver and gray. You can wear white. That's 3 colors. I'm going no. All right, Big East, Denver, no. Georgetown, no.
They got the Georgetown black jersey looks so good, dude. With the gray, it looks so good. They used to have it in the Iverson days. I remember black Georgetown basketball court. Yeah, it's gotta be allowed. It's gotta be allowed. Georgetown, that one's for sure. That's gotta be allowed.
Fine.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. No, they look magnificent. Yeah, Georgetown's gotta be fun. But yeah, I'm fine with Denver. No black for there. Villanova. I feel like they've worn black for basketball, but I can live with leaving them out. Providence is man, I love their jerseys. I like even the mascot. Like it's the Providence has good gear.
All right,
St. John's. No. All right.
I don't think they even wear. I don't think they're having it. All right. Big Ten, I'm holding the line. I'm holding the line, safe.
Okay.
Hopkins, Maryland.
I was gonna say both have black as official colors. Yeah,
yes,
right.
They're fine. If you're getting Georgetown, I got to take Rutgers back. I'm sorry.
I don't like Rutgers black jerseys. That's what I'm saying. Like I wish they should let us be a consultant for sure. I'm fine with Rutgers not having black.
If I'm going to give,
I've never seen black, and I have all colors of Michigan gear. So, and I just love the golden or maize blue for Michigan. So
Ohio State definitely.
One thing I will ask Michigan to do eventually is they should have the Fab Five era styled lacrosse shorts. Like they should have or black socks, or one of the two, or both, ideally, to kind of maybe harken back to the Fab Five era. But yeah, I'm fine with that.
Ohio State does it for football sometimes. No, I'm out. No, not happening.
I'm not a big fan of red and black too much, and that's some of the ones that maybe why I don't love Rutgers when they go black or Ohio State.
Should we take Utah out then? You're not a big fan of red and black?
Well, we need one, right, in a conference, and I was going to allow.
No, I don't think we do. I don't know if they wear it in lacrosse. They wear it in football. They wear it in
I was going to say, yeah, those kind of look okay. It's no, because I'm keeping. No, because I'm not going to take Rutgers, so we can keep. I'm going to keep Utah.
Fine. Jeez. All right. CAA Drexel. I don't think Drexel. Navy blue and gold. Yeah. No. Fairfield red and white. No. Hampton. No. Hofstra. No. I think Monmouth is just like dark blue. Maybe they call it midnight blue.
Yeah.
Stony Brook. No. Towson. Yes. Obviously.
Right.
Indeed. Ivy League. Brown, no.
You literally can't.
They got Brown. Yeah. Cornell, no.
Yeah, they solid.
Dartmouth, no. Harvard has black, don't they?
So.
Yes, Harvard. Black is a Harvard school. Okay, we'll allow Harvard. Safe. I'll give you this. I think Princeton should go to the black more often.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think Princeton, my favorite Princeton jersey is the black, orange, black. That the black helmets, orange jerseys, black shorts. I think that look is immaculate. I would even be fine with. They used to wear this back in the day. Black, orange, black jerseys, orange shorts.
Yep.
I'd be cool with that. I like, for instance, this goes the same way for Maryland for me. When you have colors that pop and vibrate like that, I hate the white jerseys, black shorts look. I like, for me, like Maryland to me is much better when they wear white and red, white jerseys, red shorts, or all red. If you're gonna wear black to me, just wear all black. I don't like black shorts with a solid white. I don't like that, especially with the black helmets. Like black helmets, white jerseys, black shorts. Not a fan. So all right, Princeton and Harvard, we've got those. The MAC, Canisius.
I would say I think Yale would look spectacular with black. I just put it out there. I think they will look spectacular with that bulldog, just like Georgetown with the bull. Oh man, I won't word again, like worked up. But yeah, go ahead.
Jesus Christ.
We're at Patriot League.
We're at the MAC. I don't know if the MAC has anybody. I don't know if they have any black. Quinnipiac has navy, gold, and sky blue. The Mount has another like navy, like dark blue. Merrimack's blue and gold. I don't think Iona either. Yeah, I don't think the MAC has any. I don't think there's any in rotation.
No native black. Yeah, it's gold colors. I don't think.
Yeah, and I can't recall any of them wearing a black jersey. So I think the MAC is a no here. I respect that. It's very ethical.
Ethical.
Very, very ethical.
Coloring.
Very honest. Has Cleveland State worn black?
I feel like they have.
Listen, Cleveland State, they got some black in the mascot with like the helmet. Green is kind of a. I'll give it to them. Detroit Mercy, no. Lemoyne, no. LIU, no. Mercyhurst, I don't think so. Mercyhurst has a navy blue. Bobby Moe doesn't have black, do they?
No.
Bobby Moe has dark blue. Wagner via my no. All right, so we're just going Cleveland State. All right, Patriot, Army. Yes.
Black Knights. Yeah.
Obviously. BU, no. Bucknell, no. Colgate, no, they got maroon. Holy Cross, no. Lafayette, maroon
I've
and
seen
white.
Lafayette black jerseys, haven't I? Or
I don't know.
I don't think there's those colors.
Lehigh, no. I don't believe Loyola's ever worn black.
Yeah.
And my thing with Loyola's got the green. Loyola also can wear silver. They can wear either white or they can wear silver or gray. All right, safe. Let's maybe seal it here. Duke, Binghamton, Bryant, UMBC, Utah, Georgetown, Providence, Hopkins, Maryland, Towson, Harvard, Cleveland State, Army.
Now these are anytime they can wear it, whenever they want. Allowable? Is that what, or just like these are the only ones you would ever are allowed to?
Yeah, like if you're not one of these teams, you're not allowed to wear black.
Okay, that's a little bit more restricted than I like, but I'll in fair compromise because we gave some teams that are definitely stretched it in there. So yeah, 11's good. 1 out of 7 teams in the NCAA.
That's 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 13.
13? Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's like, yes, 1 and 6.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I can live with that.
Now, again, there's some limits on like, do I want to see Duke wearing black all the time? No. It's a change-up. If Hopkins, Maryland want to wear it more often, sure. Towson wears it every Army. They wear it every other week. So, but, all right, there you go. Those are 13.
All black.
All right, Safe, let's finish this up here. We're going to take a page out of the old PTI playbook. 5 good minutes. Just 5. No more, no less. Put the timer on. 5 good minutes. Safe. The Virginia Cavaliers are kind of the talk of the college lacrosse world right now for not necessarily the best of reasons. Tough loss to Towson, following up the kind of loss against Hopkins. They blew the lead. I tweeted it out. On April 14th, 2024, Virginia was 10-1. They were the number 2 team in the country. They'd won 2 of the last 4 national titles, and they've been to 3 of the last 4 Final Fours. Since that date, Virginia is 11-16. You could argue that the 2 NCAA tournament wins they had, I wouldn't even make an argument against it. The 2 NCAA tournament wins they had that season in 24 are the 2 best wins they've had since then. They lost 4 games in a row to end the season after that. They beat St. Joe's and Hopkins, obviously, apology safe, to get to the Final Four. Their other wins in that time frame: High Point twice, Stony Brook, Colgate twice, Lafayette, Utah, Albany, Towson. They have lost 2 in a row to Hopkins, 3 in a row in the regular season. They have lost 2 in a row to Maryland. In fact, to Maryland, they've lost after kind of tilting the series there a bit, with the 2 bins in 19 and 21. They've now lost 5 of 6 to Maryland. They've lost, I want to say, 2 in a row to Cuse. They've lost after having that long win streak over Notre Dame. They lost to Notre Dame at the end of 23 in the tournament, lost in 24 and 25, lost 3 to them, I believe. And of course, the Duke streak is never ending. Safe. What do you believe is ailing the Virginia Cavaliers? How did we get here? How do we go from the Cavaliers being, we compare them to Maryland. It was Greece and Rome. It was the Sparta and Troy. It's the comparison that we did. We did a whole pod 4 years ago, just on that Virginia-Maryland game. That was the rivalry in the sport. Virginia was kind of the big boy on the block in the ACC. How do we get from that to this, and how does Virginia get out of it? I give you 5 minutes.
I think we kind of touched on it before. We kind of felt like Virginia knew who they were during that peak Lars era. But also it's like about the personnel, because like the impact Connor had on that program, and I don't think can ever be overstated, just because like the way he came in, just the fanfare, his style of play, being able to just be an absolute magician with the ball and just felt like I always had another gear. But also Peter LaSalle. Like we've talked about it a few times, like how important it was to Virginia in terms of the face-off game, but also just like as just an overall weapon on that team. That like when the bell needed to be rung, when the bell was ringing, of like a new PD was able to answer the call, and it was either with a super important face-off win or being able to just kind of be a one-man offensive engine that you can either just have the win.
He was the ultimate
through the defense and either.
Counterpunch. I'll let you continue. I was saying he was the ultimate counterpunch.
Exactly.
I remember the 21 championship game against Maryland. There were several times in that game where it felt like Maryland was about to pull early in the game. Virginia obviously took the lead, but Maryland had like a 2-goal lead at different points in that first quarter. It was like, oh, okay, Maryland's going to win. Both times he went right down and scored a goal.
Definitely. And if he wasn't that, he was able to dish off, and then he was just a threat. And that was just something that was a game changer. So I feel like I don't want to use this because it's kind of low hanging fruit, but we like the coach, and I can't deny his impact. Kerwin's departure. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying. Tillman makes it look easy. Guys come and go. He just keeps it running. Offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. I mean, the defense has been a little bit more stable, but definitely for also offensive coordinators, like it's just a revolving door. You want a head coaching job, you stay with someone for a couple of years and you'll get one. and it's always able to seem to replace it, just keep it moving. It was his offense, and I'm not saying Lars can't get it back or that Kerwin, it's all because of Kerwin, but there's a correlation there, and I think it's just the familiarity of having him on your staff, for that long. They just, and I know they have a relationship with him and Cassis, but I don't think you can replicate what he had with Kerwin so easily, which we've seen. And I think the further we go from those teams with Kerwin on it, like the more it's going to be like uh, undeniable that like there was like kind of an inflection point. And until like either Virginia starts winning again, I don't think that will ever kind of like leave Lawrence. So part of it's just the personnel. Like, they had just some amazing players that like, kind of gave them that edge. And, the game that has, elite players on, a lot of teams like being able to concentrate that many. Like that's what I always felt like. 2021 team, especially that game was just full of stars all over the place in the title game for both teams. And that's just not the same case. A lot of that's, transfer portal and just how recruiting is nowadays. It's just like Lars, that kind of was his calling card, just monster classes after monster classes. He's still getting guys, but it doesn't feel like class, like dominant, like it once was.
Feels like they've lost a bit of ground to Notre Dame. And there felt like a moment there where they were going to take Duke's corner a little bit. Like they were pulling some recruits. Like, listen, they were very aggressive in recruiting. They would pull guys kind of late in their commitment, which, listen, I'm not here to be the police or anything like that. It's within bounds, but it was one of those like
frowned upon.
Yeah, like some coaches don't do it. And they took some guys late, and now they've had it kind of come back to them a bit.
No one would ever say in Virginia, right? But it felt like there was like some program that people were talking about specifically because this topic was a topic.
Yes, there was when coaches send out the vague tweets about like this isn't the way to be doing things or yada yada.
Shameful, a lot of Jacob Elordi type of messages. I wish some coaches would have more shame. When they're asking, "Well, you wouldn't change in college sports."
Yeah, not saying it was Virginia, but
I don't want to overgeneralize here, but yeah.
Oh man, that's good. I think it's a couple things. I do look back at that Notre Dame game in the semifinal in 23. I don't know what change, if anything changes. I think the answer probably is it stays the same, but maybe just what if they win that game? They played. That was the Virginia Duke on a Monday would have been the kind of someone's got to give. Virginia had beat Duke the last time they played in the tournament, but Virginia has won their last like six games on Memorial Day. Duke, of course, beats them all the time. If they won that, it would have been 3 titles in 4 years. I'm not saying that when you look at what's transpired since, it feels like those things are in the work either way. I think the Kerwin thing is over. I tweeted this out, and I want to clarify a little bit. I think if you want to point to one thing, I think it's Schellenberger. If you want to make like a one sentence to overgeneralize, if you want to overgeneralize, I think it's Schellenberger. I just think he was there's been so many great attackmen of this past decade, but he was in that, to me, he was in that Pat Spencer, Grant Ament in that 2019 season, like just sui generis unique to his, the Sun Revolt. You could put Pat Cavanaugh on there as well, to be honest. I think, look, Pat Cav won a Tewaaraton, and O'Neal won a Tewaaraton, and then Bernhardt and Wisnauskas won in 21 and 22. If you lined up all 5 of those guys, and you told me which one I got to pick, I'd probably pick senior year Bernhardt, just because that guy, nobody could cover that guy. I don't know if I would be able to turn down the fact that guy could just dodge literally anybody. I've never seen a more singularly dominant dodger than Bernhardt senior year. But over the totality of their careers, if you give me those 5 guys, I want Connor. He was he wasn't a true freshman. It was his second year. Also, one of the all-time crazy things, they tried to redshirt him his first year, which was insane. It was insane at the time. It was playing out insane because Virginia had lost 2 games by that point, and then we just all got to forget about it because of COVID. But it would have been one of the all-time insane decisions. He was by the end of that freshman season, he was the best player in the country. You could argue. I mean, Jared, like he won the most outstanding player in the tournament, and he was getting whatever he wanted. Like the Georgetown game, he just dunked on their face.
It felt unfair, right? Because he was getting short stick. Because
he wasn't getting short stick. At the start of his career, he was because he was running out of the box. But later in the year,
they realized like we got to get a man on this guy.
Yeah, but it was like the way they utilized him very effectively. And
because he always felt like those video games, where you had like Randy Moss and he just was faster than everyone. Like it was Grant was kind of like that. The shiftiness that just like it felt like you were always on your heels, like trying to cover him.
There are Maryland fans who swear by this. I don't know if I totally agree with it, but I see the point of view. There are Maryland fans who swear by if they put Ajax. Ajax was a freshman in the 21 title game. There are Maryland fans who strongly believe if they put Ajax on Schellenberger in the title game, they would have won.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ajax was one of the few guys felt like had
Ajax had his number. Like I don't know, Ajax as a freshman wasn't what he would become, but he was still very good. He was still a really good freshman. Nick Grill was a great player. He just couldn't cover it. He couldn't cover Schellenberger in that championship game. But I think Schellenberger was that kind of guy. Like the 24 thing is the best example. That was not a team that should have made the Final Four. He just decided they were going to make the Final Four. Yeah. I think, but Schellenberger himself is an overgeneralization. Kerwin is an overgeneralization. It matters. I don't think it's the whole story. I think it's a little bit of everything. I think they've lost their kind of. I think it's 2 things I point to. One, in the middle of the field, they used to bully you, and they don't have that anymore. They never replaced Conrad, who, to be fair, is probably an irreplaceable player. They went from Jarrett Connors to Ben Ware, which Ben Ware was awesome, but I think was a bit of a downgrade. And I think Connors was just a little bit more nasty too. I just think they were nasty. We talked about the Georgetown game forever in the middle of the field. I think they kind of lost that a little bit. And I think you see this with the way they play. He used to be a machine, a well-oiled machine. The way they would ride you, the way they would push in transition, the way they get back. It hasn't been that in a while. They give up goals by trying to play faster. It looks more like what it did in Lars's first year.
First couple of years, yeah. Turnover City.
Turnover City. They couldn't get back.
There was an edge to that. There was an edge, and I think it has. I hate to remind, but the quarterfinal game against Maryland, like that was like sliding doors kind of moment because like I think if it just was just called properly, which everyone can see it wasn't a shot, they don't win because I think most likely Maryland, even though like Virginia was like
they could have. I mean, they would have. They would have got the ball
still been on. Yeah,
they would have got the ball. They would have still had the ball.
Yeah, the Maryland still had to close, but it was like what I mean. Like, I think that springboarded them. They kind of like drove us a little insane because it's just like Lars definitely had like the Bond super villain, like we were kind of going on that meme for a little while that Lars was like a super villain and coach, how did they get away with this? And then the next year, that lethality like that we saw, just the Georgetown game was just perfect example of that. That was just like an execution, of that. And it's just like even with the Maryland, which was kind of peak Maryland, undefeated going into that, it felt like there was just like an edge and an aggressiveness. And physicality to UVA that like you just don't see it. Again, those unique teams kind of loaded with stars and stuff like that. They just don't have the roster like that. But there was also I felt like like a vibe, an edge to them that like kind of like the Mike Tyson effect. A lot of times people lost just before the belly ranked to start. The intimidation factor. So. That was something that definitely was, peak Lars, like that was a moment in the sport. Like, can't take that away from them. But it's not happening anymore.
The start of 22, it was dynasty talk. And it wasn't a remember, look, Schellenberger had 3 years of eligibility left, and they'd won 2 straight national titles. They had 3 more years of him and Cormier. And I think it's that. I think they still bring in great recruits, but I don't see the obviously, look, they have the younger Millen is the first big game changing recruit they've had in a while. But it just seems to me like I really hone in on the midfield. 23, I think, is the last time opponents respected their midfield. They have McConvey. They got McConvey from Vermont. He won midfield of the year for them. Schutz was a freshman. He was great. That midfield really with Jeff Connor was a really reliable player. In 24, they ran Boyden, Schutz, and Colsey out of the midfield. 2 of those guys are attackmen. Schutz kind of played some attack and midfield in college. But like 2 of those 3 for sure, or not in college, pardon me, high school. 2 of those 3 for sure were attackmen. Schutz, kind of a tweener, you could argue. 25 last year, same story. Menke and played a bunch. He was a converted attackman, and this year they're going all converted attackmen at the midfield spot. So they don't really have the outside shooting as much. I think they do. I don't think they threaten you from the midfield. And then a lot of their big offensive midfield recruits, guys like Terenzi and Hudson Hausman, have become D midfielders. So they're kind of having D midfield, really highly rated offensive midfielders go play D mid, and then some attackmen, highly rated, go play midfield. And there's just it's not adding up. Also, I just think it cannot be discounted well. The goalie play they never replaced Alex Rode either. After that 21, Nunes was up and down his career. Kyle Morris had a good NCAA tournament when he came in for Nunes in 24, but since then hasn't been great. I just think they're a little bit, for whatever reason, honestly, I think in every area they're just a little bit worse.
Oh yeah.
Even on defense, I look at the defense. I know Lars loves the monster poles. I kind of wonder if he's over-indexed a little bit. Some of those, all those guys can play good on-ball defense. The communication on the defense is pretty bad. You do need you need an air traffic control, guy in there, a veteran presence who just gets every guy on the right page, plays free safety basically. Every kind of defense needs one of those guys. You can't just be all on-ball defenders. You see Ohio State has it with Cullen Brown, and what's worked for Ohio State? They haven't. When we talked about it, they put Kyle Foster up there, kind of play on ball more. Brown can still do his thing. They haven't had to sacrifice his thing. Maryland last year, even with Schaller, who was awesome, they had Colin Burles as an experienced guy. I think across the board they're just a little bit worse. And so, where do they get it back? I don't know. That I think it's possible. Lars didn't forget how to coach. He knows how to coach. They still have less time. I think the offense has been better this year. I think Brendan Millen is going to be a superstar. He's shown it to a degree already. There is still talent on this roster, and there are some questions about whether they're kind of in the new kind of world of recruiting with the NIL and the rev share. Are they kind of up there amongst who you would consider to be their peers? But look, it's still the Virginia brand. It's still a team with some talent on there. Again, they've improved in some areas from last year. Here's what I would say if you want to take the concerned approach. If they miss the tournament this year, there is not really any sort of track record of a coach in Lars's tier. Lars has won 2 titles. He gets to be put in a certain stature. Coaches of his ilk and stature don't usually miss 2 straight NCAA tournaments and get it back. When Petro lost it to Hopkins, he didn't really get it back. He missed in 2013, but he then rebounded right away, and they were back in the Final Four 2 years later. When Desko lost it, he lost it. When Starja lost it, he lost it. Tams is maybe the only thing you could say, but the thing with Tams is he never really got it going at Penn State. Once he got it going at Penn State, Tams is, I guess, the closest kind of maybe you could say. They got to the Final Four and then fell down, and he brought it back up. Maybe that's the kind of closest. But otherwise, if you look at the track record of coaches of Lars's, when it goes, it usually goes. Guys usually don't get the fastball back, at least not at that job. So I'm not saying that this means over for Lars, but this next stretch is pivotal to at least get back to the tournament, at least get things pointed in the right direction, at least change vibe. You always mention all the time, once you start missing the Final Four, it gets really, really hard to get back. It's an anchor on you.
Absolutely.
And so I think this next month and a half is pivotal for them. It doesn't mean it's the end, but the history does not suggest that the history suggests when these kind of coaches at these programs, when it starts going in the wrong direction, that's kind of it. And I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen, but I think it's worth pointing out. All right, we're going to stop it there right at 2 hours, unless you got anything else.
No, I just the only thing about Lars is like we always say, like you're at your weakest. That's when things can happen. You know what I mean? Like Lars is 2 years away removed from a Final Four, but kind of a results-based business in sports. And if it's the trajectory is not looking great, just could be a little difficult. The only thing we know, again, I'm not too cryptic, but it's like this is. I have done a good amount of research on it. I think this is Lars's last year of his contract. So I haven't heard anything about re-up. They usually do that.
I cannot imagine that unless he decides. Here's what I will say about Lars. I do wonder. There isn't really a track record of this type of coach existing in lacrosse. Most guys who are great are just the lifer, kind of like the, like statue guys at that program. I do kind of wonder if Lars is a guy who, look, Lars is different. He's a different cat. I wonder if he's a guy who just, he's a culture changer. He's a turnaround agent. Like he gets in there and he changes the vibe, and then it's on to the next stop. We never saw the come down of Brown. He left right at the peak. And I'm not saying that this is who he is, but part of me does want. I always kind of point back to when a couple years ago, when a lot of those guys got in the transfer portal, it's kind of like, what's going on there? And they all went back in. Cormier and Dixon both went in the portal, and they both eventually got back in. But it did seem like there were some guys who would kind of flirt with the portal, or you never knew. Lars is a very particular character. He's a unique guy. Everything's great when you're winning.
Yeah.
When you're winning, everybody puts up with everything. Everybody puts everybody when you win. You don't have to like when you're winning. It doesn't matter if you like the guy next to you. When you're losing, it starts to matter.
That's
So I just wonder maybe if he's that type of personality, and again, I'm not saying he's going to leave or and he'll be gone, but if you told me that I would give Lars better chances of going somewhere else and winning again than I would most guys. Because I could just see him, he gets a new stop. Everybody's new to the routine a bit and kind of his vibe. Everybody in Virginia knows the vibe now. It's been 10 years. And I'm not saying that they're sick of it, or they're over it, but some stuff can get stale. And so it'll be interesting to follow. It starts this weekend. The big game this weekend. All right. There you go, folks. Look, we intended to do an hour. We gave you 2. What can you say? We over deliver here.
Exactly.
All right, folks. This video will be up on YouTube. Please make sure to like this video when it goes up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/lacrossecommission. Power Hour. Safe and Ryan will be back Saturday for the Power Hour. It will be probably before Penn State, probably between 3 and 6 o'clock, before Penn State UNC, since it's not a on TV game. It's on the Corrigan platform. So watch out for the Power Hour. Those shows are always awesome. Please join us. Come hang out, talk all the games of the day. And I think that's about it, Safe.
Jake, always a pleasure, kid.
Indeed. Thank you, folks, for listening. Stay hydrated. It's getting warm out there. Bacon Lynch for president.
See ya.